Hello everyone, this is Cassandra Yanish. I am here to walk you through my first month report on those questions that you asked me to research. So we're going to get started. I've divided those questions into 4 separate categories. So I will answer each of the 10 questions that fall into the different categories. So I have a building a school category, a facilities category, risk category, and challenges category. The first question we're going to tackle is how long should it take to build a new school? So a couple different factors to weigh in here. A new school could be built in as little as 3 to 4 years, depending on the process and how long each of this timeline or each part of this timeline takes. So say it was 2019 and we're going to start with conducting a needs assessment. So this needs assessment is going to be surveying the community and the school about where the building is going to be, what type of building they would like to see, also a size and availability assessment. So the grounds work, where would we be building it, the site, the size of the school, how big, how many stories, what grade levels these are going to assess. And then the financial needs and funding resources available needs to be calculated. So that would be my job as school business manager to look at our financial needs and where we can get possible funding sources. And this could include a property tax or a referendum being passed. Then we need to, step 4 would be ensuring funding. So all of that needs to be done before anything else happens. So needs assessment, where is it going to be? Why do we need it? The justification of that, as far as ensuring that the funding is going to be available, or at least where we are going to find those funds. That's probably going to take about a year. Those assessments, those surveys will be conducted. You will also be able to host listening sessions. So various listening sessions throughout the year. That whole process will take about a year. So just conducting where are we going to have it, what is it going to cost, the size, and the need and the community support. Then, if we were looking as far as starting a school or looking into a school in 2019 and 2020, we would be appointing management. So that management is going to be anywhere from people in the school district who is going to help manage that, as well as construction, the architect. So we need to design the building. That input is going to be from students, from community members, from administration. So their schools have been changing the design, the layout. More modernized layout of a school would need to happen. So getting an input from your teachers is incredibly important on what type of school that they would like to see, as well as what type of school is going to work for the needs of our students. So for example, if we're going to have students who are bound to be physically disabled, we're going to have to think about a 1-floor school system, or if we're going to have more than 1 floor, what the accessibility is going to be, what accessibility we're going to be able to have. And this also works and looks at plans for evacuation and fire drills and all of those things. So the architect would be dealing with that, as well as our school management system. And then we would have to appoint a committee members for the design phase. Again, that takes about a year. So pulling together committee members, either community, administration. If you're looking at building a new elementary school, you need elementary school teachers' input. If you're looking at building a new high school teachers' input, middle school teachers' input. Then between 2020 and 2021, choosing a design, so finalizing that design, what's going to work best, doing a cost analysis. Again, that would be part of my job requirement. So the costs, where can we look to find good deals? Where can we look to, as far as the total fee or the total funds that are going to be available? Where are we going to look for finding some more funding resources there to help with the cost of building? Hosting public meetings. Again, this is another public meeting place where we're going to look at getting that input from community members, especially the community members from the minority groups who we might not think about their needs, and making sure that we can ensure a school building that meets the needs for all students. Then the district has to review the contracts. So it has to review the contracts of the architect, of the construction company, the contracts of everybody involved, to make sure that those front ends are covered, that we are good to go, that every little point has been worked through. Definitely when you're talking about the construction of a building, that needs to be reviewed for the contracts. What if it doesn't get done on time? What are the timelines for the construction phase? So those contracts have to be reviewed and approved, and the approval of permits through the city and through the state as far as designing that and getting the land, surveying the land, permits for building on the land, all of those need to get approval. So again, that's another year phase, especially if things need to be worked through and worked out or reassessed. Then if we were looking at this, we'd be in the year 2021. We would have to do a bid for a contractor. So somebody wants to contract it, our building of our new school, where that person is going to come from, their bid on as far as the time, and as far as the cost. And remember that, taking little hits here and there for funds, we might have to do that to ensure a quality building. And I'll get to that as far as building lasting of buildings. So then we start the construction. Once that construction is done, it needs to be inspected and supervised by the architect and the administration and that management team that we talked about before. Then the school is actually built. It is fully accepted by all of and passed by all of the inspections and the supervisions, and then the students get to move in. So this timeline is obviously a very condensed timeline. This is looking at a 4-year process. Like I said, it could take more. I just did a very rough timeline of this, as far as, if everything were to go right, if everything was considered and all of the approvals were met. Again, it can take much longer. Now, going into, is it reasonable to expect a school building to last 50 years? The very short answer is no. Lots of buildings, especially the ones that our students currently occupy, have been built post World War II. And lots of those buildings were built in a very big haste because of the baby boomer generation. So they needed schools to be up fast to support a lot of those students. And some of our buildings haven't been able to adapt to our changes in population, of our student needs, of our teaching methods, and what we know is best practice. A lot of them haven't been adapted to accessibility, as far as our students with physical disabilities, and they have to be updated for safety regulations. So states require a new construction of a building once the replacement costs of those buildings reach 60%. So eventually school buildings will be outdated, which is why I said making sure that we're building the best quality school possible, those schools should be built with longevity in mind so that they can last as long as possible. But again, that requires quality building supplies, quality contracting. And so we might have to look at spending more money in order to produce a quality product that is going to last a very long time. I will also get into more of the finances or as far as the facilities go, and making sure that we have a good facility. So how important is it to maintain facilities in tough economic times? The answer to that is it's so incredibly important. Even though we're looking at some tough economic times, we need to be able to have good facilities. We've invested a lot of money into the facilities we currently have, and the failure to have proper quality management can waste those investments. And that is the very last thing we want to do, is put in millions of dollars into a facility that is not being properly maintained. Then that just wastes it. And like I said, the state requires that once the replacement cost gets to 60%, you have to build a new building. So being able to maintain those is incredibly important. And so preventative maintenance programs, we need to be having regularly scheduled maintenance. Avoid that breakdown maintenance mentality of, well, we're not going to fix it until it's completely broken, because then we can look into emergency maintenance where it needs to be fixed now, and a lot of those are very expensive. In order to look at preventative maintenance programs, we should be auditing our buildings, grounds, and equipments by following an audit guide twice per year. There are lots of really great audit guides out there that take very little time to complete, and they should be like I said, done about twice a year. Being in Wisconsin, we should be able to audit our buildings at the very beginning of the year and probably after winter, especially looking at melting snow, leaking, flooding, that type of thing. So all of our buildings and grounds should be audited twice per year. We need to look into a computerized maintenance management system. So being able to log that electronically is important to be able to see a lot of different people being able to see that that has been done and checking in as much as possible. So there are lots of cards that come with the equipment that we purchase, and maintenance logs and looking at the manuals and making sure everything is up to date. So making sure that those cards are filled out or even moved into a computerized system, it would be a very good idea to help streamline that process. Then what are some ways that our school district can conserve energy? So the best things are involving the students. They're going to be the ones who are keeping us on our toes as far as making sure our lights are turned off. If we have a burnt out bulb, to replace them with updated energy efficient lighting. Motion sensor lighting are also great ways to save on energy in appropriate areas, or at least timing wise when those would be turned into motion sensor lighting. Programmable thermostats are incredibly important. Keeping our classroom doors shut, because that maintains the heat in the building just in the classroom from having students occupying that room. Technology and sleep and energy saving modes. So making sure our computers, whether they are in carts in our rooms, whether they are our very own laptops or desktop computers, making sure our smart boards are turned off when not in use at night and on weekends. So making sure the lights to save those are turned off when they're not in use and when you have left a room. And maintaining and updating building systems and equipment are great ways to conserve energy. So once those are out, to replace them with more energy efficient savings. And like I said, involving students in that process is a really great opportunity for them to look at real world problem solving, real world math, and all of that, like in science and energy and technology, and making them accountable too, because that's good practice that they can take home. Then, what should our school district do in the realm of heightened security? The first thing that our school district needs to take advantage of is our relationship first policy and making sure that we have good mental health programs built in. We have more students than we do staff. So really, boosting up our students' self-confidence and boosting up that they're going to talk to us for important things and come to us first, that we can really tighten down on a lot of these security risks or mental health bullying risks as well. Wisconsin has a safety grant that we can apply for that gets money for things like glass or coverings for glass, to make it that shatterproof glass, so that you have safety in that way. That's another big program that they have been helping fund. Then we have updated security systems. Because updated security cameras have been very helpful in that Wisconsin safety grant. And conducting safety audits. Again, there are so many different audits available that we can look at and assess our buildings and what needs to be done, and grants that we can apply for that the state of Wisconsin or other places can provide us money. Looking into ALICE training, so that alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate, making sure our students practice those drills and are well informed on what to do in the event of an active shooter. Very small things that we can look into is making sure the doors, our classroom doors and outside doors, are locked at all times or in a locked mode at all times. Our staff and our visitors have ID badges so students students know that they are safe people in the building, key fobs for staff to get into the building, security cameras, a buzz-in system for visitors that limits access to the whole school, security lighting, and visible outdoor entry are all ways that we can do to help our district in our state of heightened security.